We have roasted hundreds of kits on this channel just in the last 10 episodes of Roast Your Kit alone. And that's why episode 10 is an incredibly special one for you guys and myself. This is the all-star episode of Roast Your Kit. I'm The.Gear.Locker, and we have a ton to get through today. Because this one was a very special episode. As you guys remember from episode 9, I mentioned that we will have a panel of judges judging this episode here. Now, our panel included 3 people. One was myself. Another was a very close friend of mine, an incredible reenactor. And the third one was kind of our wild card. I'm going to reveal exactly who that was at the end of this video. Speaking of, at the very end, I'm going to talk about 2 things. Number 1, what's happening with the future of the series. And number 2, my favorite kit of this episode. Actually, the judge's favorite kit of this episode. And damn, is it well deserving. That's enough talking. You guys are here to see some kits, and let's talk about number 10 on this list. Number 10 came from Joe Anayi, and this is his 90s and early 2000s British Army Pathfinder's kit, which he based mainly on photos of their Operation Pallister in Sierra Leone. From top to bottom, he's running a DPM bush hat, he's got a DPM field jacket, and a CS95 combat shirt. And while he mentions that his trousers are a little bit newer, they are still the same CS95 pattern. The coolest part of this kit is the webbing he's running, which is 95 pattern webbing. He's got triple magazine pouches, utility pouches, and a water bottle pouch, which is all standard issue for this kit. And he also includes a mini-me ammunition pouch, which for his kit actually contains batteries, torches, things like that. He's running a 95 pattern Bergen side pouch, which is converted to an assault pack. He said it's a common and encouraged practice from the time, which I love to see those kind of SOP details. And the last thing he notes is his rifle is FAR. Being in the UK, and I am an OG Scout the Doggy watcher, so I remember seeing all those brightly colored rifles. Due to his age and the challenge of getting an M16A2 replica, he's using what he has, but he will be getting an A2 replica as soon as he can. And now it's time for some of the opinions. One of our judges said, I just don't like the camo pattern, and also, I don't know where your hat is. As we know, it was obscured out from your face, but I kind of agree. I would have loved to see that stand out. I feel like that's an iconic piece of this kit. And another judge says that they love the British camo, so kind of 2 different sides. The pick is a little bit dark to see, the specific pouches, and an M16A2 would go a long way in building this kit out. And honestly, I would have to agree with those comments. However, I give you a lot of credit for running that belt kit, especially that early 90s, 2000s kind of look. It's super cool. You don't really see that a lot on the airsoft fields or anything. It's all plate carriers and high speed this, but running a classic belt kit, especially with all the DPM stuff, props to you, man. That's cool. And that's why the 3 judges and I averaged our scores out to a 6.5 out of 10. So, Joe, nice job on this British kit. The next one is for you Rust 4 people out there. I fought hard to not include it, but it was a panel, so I had to be fair. And that's probably why this one is in it. This comes from XXXSniperLegitXXX. Gamer tag name? I don't know. But he has a generic Rust 4 kit. And truth be told, he didn't provide me a full fleshed out kit list. I only have some very minor details to go over. So taking a look at his kit, he has an EMR uniform, a Russian-style plate carrier setup, which is fully loaded with issued-style pouches, and a helmet that is, of course, also Russian, and an AK pattern rifle. It's really all we had to go off of. So this one's really a vibes kit here. Pretty clearly, you match the vibes. As you will see in a lot of these kits, as long as you can drop yourself into these reference photos, you're pretty much squared away. And this, I would argue, is one of those cases. Same with one of our commenters saying he's far from an expert on current Rust 4 stuff, but you blend into the photo and maybe are a bit over-equipped, which I can see what he's saying, because you have, with that plate carrier setup, a lot going on. And of course you do see some of those heavy-duty trends with the realistic photos, or with the real photos, excuse me. But I don't know if it's exactly like that kind of setup. I'd love to see a little bit more of a breakdown, maybe listing what you have and why you have, to help inform this one a little bit. Our other judge says that I feel like a lot looks different from the photos, but it looks good. So based on vibes alone, you pass that check. And that's why the 3 of us combined gave you a 7 out of 10. So nice job, XXXSniperLegitXXX. Your generic Rust 4 made the top 10 list. Good work. The next kit takes it to the Vietnam War, and oh man, I'm so glad a Vietnam kit made it to this list. Here from Duncan P is a 1975 2/9th Marines during the Battle of Koh Tang, or the Mayaguez incident. And this kit is pretty cool, actually. It is very rare to see US things this late, because by 1972, most of the combat troops in Vietnam were pulled out of there. There were some remaining forces, security forces, especially around the Saigon area, and there's iconic photos from when they left Saigon in 1975, so this kit is kind of neat to really be pushing the edge. Duncan is rocking an M55 flak jacket, props to you for rocking one of those, a helmet with an ERDL cover, and the Linklo, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing those right, I have some, but the LINCLOE pouches, as well as his M16. And some of these things raise some questions for me, because especially as I look at the photos, and given my understanding of the time, these kinds of pouches definitely would have made it out there, but I wouldn't even argue as common as the M67s or even some of the early Alice stuff. This is kind of interesting that you're including those Linklo pouches. And another thing I'm curious about is that ERDL helmet cover. I can't tell from the photos. They're grainy, they're a little bit further away, and I'm sure you've done your research into it, but is that what they used aside from just the standard Mitchell pattern? I know Marines did use some of the ERDL helmet covers. Later on in the war you'll see them, but I didn't know if they were that common or if they would all have the Mitchell patterns by that time. Still, this kit is kind of cool, and we have some comments. From one of our judges, they say, I kind of like that one. It's simple, and there's not really much to say about it. The other person says, I would highly recommend swapping out those pouches to be standard M56. That might be a little more like commonly seen rather than the Linklo ones, but let me know. I'd love to see direct photos. That might help us out here. As well as loving the gas mask and the rifle. So props to you, Duncan. That is why the 3 judges and I rated your kit a 7.8. Congratulations for making the list, and thank you for putting up a Vietnam kit. The next kit comes ominously from someone named The Soldier. That is all the information I got from them. And here they have a generic 80s USGI kit. Now I do know they have some unit patches on, especially on the previous unit, the 82nd Airborne one. So I'm not sure what you got on the other one, I can't tell, but as mentioned, it is a generic US Army thing. And here you have your 2 ammo pouches, your 2 canteen pouches, a butt pack, a rucksack with an e-tool and 2-quart canteen, and an Alice belt system. So you've nailed the basics. However, being the person that I am, especially having 80s kits myself, which I have to show on this channel, there's a couple things I want to comment on. Number one, it looks like you have a few different generations of Alice equipment. Especially in the 80s, you're going to be looking for the LC1 and LC2 stuff at latest, and not any of the stuff that's in that bright kind of green that you see with some of the 90s and 2000s Alice stuff. So certain pieces like your suspenders and your other magazine pouch would definitely benefit from being swapped over. The darker brown stuff is going to be what you want. I'm also curious about your M16. It looks to be like one of the cheaper spring Airsoft repros. Doesn't have any of the correct barrels or markings or anything like that. So maybe getting an upgraded M16A2 or upgrading to one of those would be very helpful in getting this kit, especially if you're doing kind of like a late 80s kit. Although for early to mid, and of course depending on the unit, the M16A1 is correct. You do have some comments, one of them being, love that 80s scrim, move the flashlight to a pouch maybe. Great idea, having those kind of flop around, at least from my experience with Vietnam stuff, and limited in the 80s sphere. Having it right there is not that comfortable, so moving it down to a lower portion where you can still access it easy is probably going to be better for you. Our other judge commented, what is going on with the hats? I do like it though. So overall, it's kind of cool. I like the vibe, definitely some things you can improve on, but for all 3 of the judges, we give you an 8.0. So nice job, The Soldier, thanks for submitting, and let's keep going. David sends in a very unique kit, not one that I've ever seen or ever thought I would see on this series. And this is his Croatian Army kit. David lists out a ton of gear, so bear with me. I'm going to let you oogle over these photos, and I'll share what he's got. He's got Hike's black boots. He's got Spartak Gear Aries combat pants in Cropat with the knee pads, which are the Croatian Army BDU pants that they're using right now. Helicon Tex Level 1 tops and bottoms. Miltech quick drying winter cap. A Croatian Army soft shell in Cropat, which I think it's so cool that it's called Cropat. A Croco Tactical M401B plate carrier with level 4 plates. A triple mag insert, double mag pouch, utility pouches, radio pouches. A Croco M3107 IFAC, an M3156 belt, all in Cropat. I just love saying that word. Very cool pattern, might I add, before I even finish this list. He's running a Cestan Bush BKACH Croatian Army helmet with an original cover, and a G36C with aim point, sling, RVG, and he says it's kosher for the VHS-2. Now, taking a look at this photo, I think the pattern stands out. It kind of has that Marpatty look, and in fact, when I first saw these photos, I was like, is that cheap knockoff AliExpress Marpat? But no, it's Croatian pattern. And truthfully, I think the kit is absolutely rocked. However, I would love to see reference photos of that G36 setup, particularly the G36C. That is a really cool rifle in my opinion, but what the guys have is not that. They're all running LMGs, and that's all the kind of stuff that you sent me. So I would either love to see your kit with an LMG or with pictures of the G36 in use. But regardless, let me know what that LMG is. It kind of looks neat. My initial thought was like, oh, okay, MG4. It's not. That's the only one I have experience with. But going on to the judges' comments, you had a couple good ones here. One of them saying, the plate carrier maybe looks a little sparse, but that's really a nitpick. And they love the G36 setup. So we got a fanboy there as well. The other one says, I can't really see the pouches, but it looks good. No face paint though. So in the photos that you sent, we did notice that the face paint was very stark. That would just elevate your kit a little bit more. But overall, David, nice job on this Croatian one. And here, we're officially hitting the top 5 kits of the season finale of Roast Your Kit. Hunter Howard sends in a World War II Marine Corps kit portraying a basic rifleman in L-37 during the Battle of Peleliu. Early war Marine stuff is so cool. He's rocking an original fixed bail M1 helmet with repro chin straps and an at-the-front helmet cover, an Army HBT cap, and a repro P41 uniform from At the Front. He's running 2 M1 rifle bandoliers, those are reproduction, an M1923 cartridge belt with 2 repro P2 canteen covers from What Price Glory, along with the canteen sets and all that. Lots of World War II repro brands, and that's the thing with this kit. I'm gonna go on to the rest of it, but I just don't love the difference in color. And I understand I have a World War II Marine kit myself, and a lot of the original equipment is kind of just one shade. It's going to be minor variation, but maybe getting things that would match might help elevate the kit and put it in a little bit more of a realistic look. Regardless, let's keep going. He's running an original first aid kit and original M1924 aid pouch, a repro M41 pack with a T-handle shovel, and an original Marine Corps poncho. Love those things. They're really cool with the reversible sides. He's also got an M1905 16-inch rifle bayonet with a replica M1 Garand from Denix. And man, you could drop yourself in these photos, add a lot of that grain and whatnot, but you'd match it pretty darn well. Again, my only real gripe is the difference in colors of those reproduction canteen covers and the belts and all that. Maybe getting something that would match a little bit more might help, or just wearing it all in the same kind of way. You did get some great comments, Hunter, from our judges, one of them being, it looks practical and everything has a purpose. Our other judge says that you would blend into a World War II Marine squad, no problem to the untrained eye. So great comments, and that's why you got an 8.3, Hunter. Thank you for sending in such a cool World War II Marine kit. And you would bet in the top 5 we had to have a KSK kit. This one, coming from Deam Taktik, is a 2020s Commando Specialkrafter loadout with some multi-tarn. This guy is rocking an issued Watana multi-tarn uniform. So cool. Props to you for rocking one of those. There's not many of us out there that'll rock our original, so good on you. He's running an old gen Cry JPC 1.0 with an MRB 1.0. I'm sure carryovers from the older era. A lot of KSK guys use that Cry stuff, including some of the JPCs and all that. So very cool. An old commercial Flecktarn chest rig and some issued multi-tarn pouches. You say you do have some commercial Linderhof pouches, but overall, mixed with some of that multi-tarn, it blends in pretty well. You're running a TCA PRC 148. Not a lot of guys get those radios, even though that's what's kosher, so good on you for doing that. A repro fast helmet with the VAS shroud, side rails, contact XPIs, all the different lovely things, including the Hexonia Tropentarn cover, so pretty cool there. And Solomon XA Forces Speed Assault boots. The KSK guys loved those boots. Every single KSK guy I've interviewed, talked to, I've talked to them privately, have said that the Solomons were some of their favorites. So, nice detail. And you are running a few different rifle setups. Let's talk about those. In one of these photos, specifically the middle one, you have that G36 KA4. You also rock an MP7, and on the far photo, in the top corner, that's you with the G95K. Awesome builds there. I'd love to see a little bit more detail on that G95. Maybe seeing some of the color contrasts and not in the edited photo would help me get a better feel for how you did with it. But overall, you got a lot of really good work here, especially having 3 different types of replicas. Good on you for that, man. And of course, my bias aside, we had some good comments from the judges as well. One of them being, I can't see a difference between you and the references. And they love the MP7, so well done on that part. Another one says, I can't tell the difference between the references and his. Also well done. So we had the same comments from both, which just is a testament to how well you did. So Deam Taktik, good work on your 2020's KSK kit. That's why you get an 8.5 out of 10. And now it's time for the top 3 kits. Of course, we're gonna show the next 2. I gotta talk about a couple things, and then we're gonna get to my absolute favorite kit. And these guys are the all-stars of the series. Let's jump right in from our number 3 spot with B6 BB Wars, showcasing a 2006 CAG Delta kit. Oh man, have I been on a Delta kick lately, and this guy has submitted in the past, so I'm so glad he did it. I believe he won, if not was very close to winning in the episode he submitted. So let's talk about some of the stuff that he has. B6 BB Wars has an MSA Mitch 2002, a Contact 1, and an MSA Gen 2 Molly CVC, which was originally Coyote Brown, but he dyed it Ranger Green, and I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't tell at all, so you did a great job with that dyeing process. He's rocking an MSA CVC soft armor set with Ceradyne spear plates and a groin flap with the 3A insert. Some of his pouches are also direct from the guys, which is really cool. The USZA, which is the contract for Combat Applications Group, Paraclete SR25, two 50 cal pouches, an Embiter pouch, canteen pouches, GPs, double 9mm, all that Gucci stuff. I love to see it. He's running pre-MSA shoulder pads, an inner MK54 dual initiator with dummy det cord. Love that breacher stuff. A custom weapons catch, a Cry AC DCU set, which came from a CAG guy as well, AKU NS564 spider boots, and a Sunto X6HR. Let's go on to his rifle now, which he's rocking a TM NGRS 416D, a Garmin 101, a LaRue LT101 riser, a 2005 made EOTech 551, Insight M6, and a Somo PEC box, which he now has switched to an Insight FP. Dude, I don't really have any comments to say other than this is incredible. I love this kit. It is so functional and like classic 2000s vibes, like early GWAT, high speed special forces stuff. It's just really well done. And I admire that the work and effort that you put into it has shown up and shown out with such a good kit. The comments from our other judges also reflect this and get you a pretty darn high score. One of them is saying nailed the vibe. They missed the gangster grip and the pec mounted further back. It's a very possible thing that you just set it up for how you like it, and whatever the guys did in their photos might be different from you. The other comment says that they match the vibe absolutely perfectly and you put it together well, which I think is a very high compliment, especially coming from this person. Which is why B6 BB Wars, you have earned yourself an 8.7 out of 10, making you the third place winner of Roast Your Kit episode 10. Excellent job on this, and thank you for sending it in. The number 2 spot goes to 970 Shooter, which this is their DSS MSD kit, the Diplomatic Security Service Mobile Security Deployment Loadout. Let's talk about all the really cool stuff that he's got in this one. The DSS MSD exclusive police printed Ranger Green Cry Combat shirt, the Cry G3 pants, a Velocity Systems Scarab LE-LT combo with the back panel. You're running a D3CR chest rig, S-Tac pistol and rifle magazine pouches, Blue Force Gear dump pouch, Safariland level 3 holster for your Elite Force Glock 17, and a mix of repro and real patches and whatnot. The tan side kit is exactly the same, except you're rocking a Vertex combat shirt and true spec pants. And I'm so glad you sent in a couple variations. Even though a lot of the stuff is the same, it definitely changes the overall look. And I think it's really cool. You don't see a lot of like US side police force kits that are done well like this. We see a lot on this channel of the overseas, especially German stuff. But this is very well done. And I appreciate the authenticity that you took and made this kit shine. The comments from our judges include that they legitimately look indistinguishable and it's a straight up well done. Like, pat on the back, great job. The other one says, ooh, I like it. It looks well put together and pretty legit. I don't know what else to say. Which, again, pretty darn good and earns you a 9.0 out of 10, purely based on vibes alone. 970 Shooter, fantastic job on this kit. Thanks for sending it in and congrats on that number 2 spot. And before we get to our number 1 spot and winner of Roast Your Kit episode 10, let's talk a little bit about a couple things. Number 1, as you noticed, I mentioned that this was the season finale. And that doesn't mean we're going away, but we're gonna take a short break throughout the summer to make some room for some other content that I wanna create, especially because the weather is gonna be nicer and I have quite a few kits coming down the pipeline. I wanna make some room for that. But this series is not done. We are going to pick it back up for episode 1 of season 2. I know, it's crazy we're already on another season of Roast Your Kit happening in September. So all of your kits can be sent to me throughout any time of the summer by August 31st. No later. I want any kind of kit. Doesn't matter if it's an impression kit, doesn't matter if it's a copy of a video game kit. As long as it's what you use and rock out in the field, that's what I want to see. So you guys have plenty of time throughout the summer to build out your loadouts, get them all really cool, and take some cool pictures and send them in for episode 1 of season 2. Now, I also wanted to reveal what our mystery judge was. Of course, we had my great friend, also an impressionist, and has actually been on this channel a couple times before. The mystery guest, though, is none other than the girlfriend in CT, as some of you guys may know her. She went through all of these kits with me, gave her ratings, gave her comments, and she has some pretty surprising ones in this video, as I'm sure you noticed. Because every time I show her a kit or show her something that I'm working on, she was like, oh, it's cool, but it kind of looks like the other one you made. And I guess that's fair with some of the German stuff and all that. But she took the time and I'm really appreciative to her. So thank you to our 2 other judges. Now I will keep you guys waiting no longer. Let's get to the number 1 kit of Roast Your Kit episode 10. And this goes to Khang Nguyen. Khang sends in a 2010 to 2011 DevGru Assaulter kit. Let's talk about some of the stuff he's rocking, including an AOR-1 Cry Navy Cut uniform, Blackhawk Riggers belt, AOR-1 6094A with LBT and Eagle pouches, an Ops Corps Maritime with Wilcox mount, and GPNVG-18, which he mentions is fake. Understandable if you're rocking it for pictures, that's fine. An HK-416 with the iconic paint job, also rocking an AAC suppressor, EOTech 551, magnifier, PEC-15, Surefire M300, and Magpul furniture. And another photo, he's rocking the HK MP7 with an Aimpoint T1, another PEC-15, Surefire M300, and a TD grip. Tango down, I believe. I'm not the best on SEAL stuff. He did note that there are a couple unobtainium items that he couldn't get in time, but I'm still super glad he sent in this photo and some of the things he's going to be looking for, so reach out to him or in the comments below if you have any of these. They include an old gen Petzl headlamp, the Arc'teryx Minotaur half shell in the crocodile color, and the panos, but he said that guys were running PBS 15s around that era, so either will work. But Khang, you absolutely crushed this kit. I remember first getting into Airsoft, and this is going to date me a little bit, but when Green Mountain Rangers first released some of their videos, and as much as I can like kind of meme on them now, their kits were super cool and inspired by some of this DevGru stuff. I thought it was wicked cool and I loved these kits. So to see you bring it out in 2025 with such a standout look is impressive. I'm really pleased with it. One of our commenters says that you probably made a pretty darn close one-to-one kit. They love the MP7 and all of the cohesiveness of this kit, and only kind of gripe would be they wish you took this picture outdoors because it would probably improve the look a lot. Our other comments said that it looks clean and that a ton of effort was put into it. And I would have to agree, which is why you, Khang, earned a 9.5. Thank you so much for sending in this kit, and congratulations on that top spot for the entire season. That's going to wrap up this video. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. Again, if you want to get featured in Season 2, Episode 1, which is happening in September of 2025, send me any kind of kit to tglentries@gmail.com by August 31st. I just need some kit pictures, standout things you want to mention, and of course, if there's any social medias you want to plug, send those too. If you've stuck around this long, I just want to thank you. This really kind of launched some of my channel and got a lot of the community involved, and I think that was the whole point of it. I got to see really cool kits, I got to understand what goes on behind other builds that people do for impressions, and of course, I got to share them with you. Thank you guys so much for making this what this is. This is the The.Gear.Locker. We're going to wrap up Season 1 of Roast Your Kit, and we'll see you guys in September for Season 2. And of course, all the other videos I post this summer, weekly.